Hello, Roundtable family and sports fans all across the United States of America. And welcome to our new program, Tuesdays on the Edge, our version of Overreaction Monday, but of course, better. I'm your host, Rowdy, joined as always by my co host, Little Bro Coop and Big Boy. How are we doing, boys?
Good. We got the beanie show. It's cold outside, so we all got to wear our beanies for the old cold here.
Yeah, we can. Y'all can call us the Beanie Boys.
I
The,
felt out of place. They had them on, so I went and grabbed one myself. So
For sure.
the Beanie Trio we got cooking up. But man, it was a exciting weekend of wild card weekend. Unfortunate for Big Boy. We'll get into that, of course. But really, man, it was 5 out of 6 games. Not really too tight of matchups. All
it's
double
hot.
score
I can't
wins.
do this. It's hot inside here. What are we doing? We're inside.
But we're gonna give you our recap, of course, of wild card weekend. Find out who's on the edge after some pretty big, decent sized upset L's. Then we're going to, of course, talk the Dallas Cowboys' future plans and thoughts. And we're also going to talk about the collapse of Philly, boys. I mean, Kelsey probably coming out retiring. That's the word on the street today. Is
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni on the hot seat? We're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to talk, of course, about the Texans with that dominant victory at home against the Browns and what they kind of look like going for the rest of the playoffs. Of course, the Bills, man. I mean, they are rolling and rolling. We're going to talk about them. It's one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. And then to close out the show, just because it came out today, we'll give you a little college baseball. The college baseball rankings, top 25, came out today. And of course, the very own Texas Longhorns are in there. So we're going to get it all to you on this Tuesdays on the Edge, shorter episode than our Friday, the Sports Roundtable Trio edition. But let's get it right off, boys. What are our thoughts on the wild card weekend?
Hated it. Hated it. No, it was good football. The games weren't, most of them weren't that close, weren't as competitive as I was thinking. Um, But I think the big winner to me of the weekend is unfortunately the Houston Texans. I think they did look good. They're gonna have something to say, maybe. I mean, we'll see. But it's the Bills. They look good. I'm not as high on them as y'all are, but it was a fun weekend for sure. Gonna miss this in a couple weeks. We're sitting here
Yeah.
talking about baseball and basketball. So
For sure. No, it was a good weekend. Texans coming out with a good dub, putting up 45 points on the Cleveland's defense. Some say
yeah.
it's the best defense in the NFL, and CJ Stroud came out with 3 touchdowns, 274 yards, and diced them up. In my opinion, we'll get into it a little bit, but CJ Stroud, best rookie quarterback ever? Question mark. He's up there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's unfortunate. I saw too this weekend's talking about like how all the NFL awards are voted on before the playoffs. I think that's the
Yeah.
stupidest shit of all time because that game right there should have been the deciding factor on the coach of the year.
Coach of the year. Yeah.
And that, I mean, that should hopefully it's voted on right before that game because it's going to look real bad if the Browns coach end up winning it after that.
They said they had to be in the day before.
Yeah, that's
So
so
it's
stupid. That is stupid. I mean, I don't. It's the same thing with like all the college awards too, which I understand with some of the bowl games. But I think next year, like with the 12 team, don't release that shit until after the Natty.
yeah.
Make those dudes play. Like, but obviously we mentioned it. A bunch of blowout games, right? The Bills demanding victory. Bucks pretty much handled victory at home, not even giving up a touchdown to the Eagles. And then obviously the most bad one of them all on the weekend, boys.
We're just gonna get into it.
Yeah, we're gonna go right into it. I think.
And
Okay.
it
was bad.
It's,
It was
Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones at home. Jerry Jones looks like those videos of him after the game, boys. I would not Oh man.
That wasn't really him crying, so don't get on that. That one's funny though, man. When they got the app of him crying,
Mhm.
yeah, it was bad. It wasn't even close. To me, they probably could have scored 60. I mean, they took out their starters, and was it the third quarter?
Yeah.
I mean, that's in a playoff game at home, bro. That's one of the worst defeats I've ever seen as far as in the playoffs. And you know, it sucks, man, because they had a group that was ready. What we thought was ready to contend, and it wasn't even close. And the Packers, all respect to them and good for them. The Packers are not that much better than the Cowboys as far as the score is what I'm saying. Um, Dak let a quarterback starting his first year come into his house and just own them. The defense, I mean, some of those passes, there was no one within 20 yards of the receiver. Like, it wasn't even close. The defense didn't show up. The offense didn't show up. It was a slaughter, and it's and I know everyone. The hot topic is they're going to fire McCarthy and Belichick and all that. I don't see that. What about Jerry Jones or Bill Belichick make you think that they will come together? Because that would mean Jerry Jones has to give up control, which you tell an 81-year-old billionaire he's going to have to give up control. Good luck with that. And then you got Bill Belichick over here, who's a 71, 72-year-old coach with 6 titles. You gonna let Jerry Jones, that has 3 of them 20-something years ago, say, yeah, don't worry, you just make all the decisions, I'll just coach? It's not. It's a great story. It's great for Sports Center to talk about, and everyone say it's going to happen. I would be shocked if they came together and it happened. And to go on Jerry Jones, who else? Let's say Vrabel. You think Vrabel is going to want to come work for Jerry Jones? No. Do you think if Tomlin, if they let him go, he wants to come work for Jerry Jones? No. Like, I don't see it. I don't see it. Nothing about Jerry Jones says I will relinquish any type of power, or as far as being the GM. I know they hired that guy that came in and helping, and their drafting has done so much better since he's got there. But still, Jerry Jones, to me, like, why did we deal with Jason Garrett for 10 years then?
Yeah.
Why did we go get Mike McCarthy off the couch? In his man cave watching 100 hours of film a week, on the Cowboys. Come on, man. Like, I don't know. I don't. He might not even move on from McCarthy. And it's just it's everyone is talking about all these coaches that have a shot. I don't think Jerry will hire a competent coach. It's going to have to be a lucky, like how they found Sean McVay, a younger coach that comes in and just coaches. Because besides that, I mean, you can get Dan Quinn maybe if he doesn't run off, but he just got destroyed in the playoff too. I mean, so it's a bad spot to be in, and everyone's always said for years that it'll never happen while Jerry's alive, and until Jerry just lets it go. Jerry's not going to let it go until the day he dies. He won't. So it's hopeless. That's how I feel as a Cowboys fan. What in the last 25 years or whatever it's been, it makes you think it's going to be different. Bill Parcells was the only one. And Bill Parcells, Jerry said it in a drunk stupor. The only reason I hired Parcells is to build that stadium. And that's it. So it's just the same thing. And it's going to continue. Steven, he might at one point, in 20 years when Jerry dies or whenever it is, when he's in full control, he might hire somebody that's a comparable, coach, and somebody like a Belichick or somebody that's the alpha that's going to come in. But these guys aren't. And it's going to be the same thing over and over. That's how I feel. I think there's no shot that if the Cowboys get Belichick, There's more of a likelihood that McCarthy stays than they get Belichick in my eyes.
I think bottom line is Jerry is to the point where he just has so much outside pressure now after that just clean house. I mean, think McCarthy, I mean, the Cowboys like 12 wins 3 years in a row. Like not many teams, not many coaches have done that. And it just so happens to be that they get into the playoffs and they got this playoff curse where they just fall apart for whatever reason, whether that's the team or just the coaching aspect of it. The coaches just can't handle the pressure of the playoffs, or Jerry just puts that extra pressure on them in the playoffs to really make it to the Super Bowl and get them that Super Bowl title. But I think like you said, the Cowboys are not going to win a Super Bowl until Jerry Jones is done handling things. Until Jerry Jones does not have his hand in the pot with anything at all. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are ever going to win a Super Bowl or even make it to a Super Bowl at this point.
And again, to me, he's an 81-year-old billionaire.
Yeah.
You can't tell that man to do shit.
Yeah.
You can't. So, hey, he's playing real life fantasy football. Good for him. I mean, it sucks, man, because they have talent, dude. And they're going to end up, I mean, you're going to have to pay Dak. You're going to have to pay CD. You're going to have to pay 11 that didn't show up for fucking anything.
No.
Micah Parsons was not there.
I mean, none of the whole defense wasn't. That's what I want to talk about too. Is like the defense didn't make any plays. Like, I mean, they just looked nonchalant, tired. But how much of that really needs to go on Dan Quinn for how he schemed them up during that game? I saw there was so much zone coverage and different types of schemes that they were running that they have not run all year when they had been dominant, right? They've been dominant all year playing man and getting pressure, and then they come and play the Packers against a team that doesn't have a true wide receiver one, and they're scared to play man coverage against them. I didn't understand that. What's all?
It didn't from the first series. CD looked like something between him and Dak. I don't know. I don't know what it was, and they said it on there, but
yeah, looks like they're fighting over a girlfriend all
that's exactly what I thought. Who fucked whose girlfriend?
Yeah,
that's exactly what I thought, bro.
And it's like it's been steamed all week. I would have loved to see what practice was all week, because there's no way that they just showed up and after the first drive it was like that. That hadn't been steaming all week.
Yeah, and going back to y'all's point, going into this game, we all talked about what is the key for the Cowboys offense, and it's Dak and CD have to get going early and often, right? CD had, I can't remember, 1 or 2 catches in the first half, I think. I mean, they were on a completely different planet, and I'm talking light years from each other. You know what I'm saying? CD ended up getting about, over 100 yards, but it's all from the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But going back to the game, like, at the end of the day, yes, Dak did throw 2 pick sixes, or not 2 pick sixes. He threw 2 picks. I was thinking of what's his face?
Yeah, Flacco.
Flacco. Yeah, he threw 2 picks. But at the end of the day, like y'all said, the defense that everyone's been so hyped on didn't come out to play. I mean, Love had 272 with 3 TDs. Aaron Jones had
by the third quarter. I mean, let's get real. They stopped playing football after halftime.
Yeah.
Like
he only had like 25 passing attempts or some shit.
He could have gone for 500. I mean, it was bad, man. It was so bad. It's frustrating. And trust me, Jordan Love might end up being a Hall of Famer. But I'll tell you right now, they made him look like they should give him the jacket tomorrow. Oh. And it's not, and we'll see in the next 3, 5, 10 years what he really is. But there's a lot of quarterbacks that come in and that are flashes and they have great games and stuff like that. But I mean, everyone wants to now say he's the next thing, and good for him. It's great. But they literally made him, and he's had great stats. So don't get me wrong, the second half of the season, but He ain't that good. I don't care what you say. Like at this point in his career, he is, but he did it. So I'm not trying to hate, and I'm trying to say it in a way where it doesn't come off like I'm hating. But
Yeah.
they made him look like he literally is Peyton Manning or Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that the first year as a starter in the playoffs, you should go into an atmosphere like Dallas against
At home.
what a
Yes.
Dallas defense has been and be able to do that. Like, I don't care what other rookie quarterback you are. Like, if I mean, we're going to talk about the Texans, but like you put CJ Stroud in to go play at Cleveland, right? First round, like that's probably a completely different performance out of him. Like, it's just different going on the road as a true first year starting quarterback in the playoffs compared to what it is at home. So before we move on to the next one, though, I mean, do you think, I'll ask both of y'all, do you think it's to the point where it's like just so embarrassing to Jerry that he feels like he needs to truly like just clean house and try to like reset, whether that's getting rid of Mike, getting rid of Dan Quinn, and some are even saying Dak? What, I mean, do you think he feels just the need and in the moment he's just gonna make that kind of move because he's just so pissed off?
Go ahead, because
No, yeah, you boil up your answer.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so. He's making money, and like I said, they still went what 12-5, in the season. Like there's not a lot of people that can say they've won that many games, and they've done that for multiple years. It's just for some reason in the playoffs, like we've said, they don't have an answer in the playoffs. And like we said, Jerry has a big part of that. Like, I feel like he puts more pressure on not only the coach, but the players as well. If he would just step back and just let them play, and not be like hovering over them all the time, I think it would be a little bit better. But to answer your question, I don't think so. No,
No,
I think
okay, so we'll start with Dak. Okay, who are you gonna get? You're gonna be drafting what in the 20s?
Yeah.
So who are you gonna get? Dak is a decent quarterback. He's a good quarterback. In the regular season, he was awesome. I mean, in this show, we talked about MVP. We talked about all
Everyone
that. So,
did. Oh, yeah.
yeah, everyone did. So, no, I don't think he's going to get rid of Dak. I think Dak's going to get his extension and he's going to get paid. He's going to be one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid quarterbacks. Okay. So then we go to McCarthy and them. Okay. Who are you going to get? Like I said earlier, who is a veteran coach that wants to come in and deal with it?
I think the only way you can fire McCarthy is if you get a yes from a Harbaugh, or I don't think Jerry's going to say no to Bill if Bill wants in.
I just don't see Bill wanting. What about Bill Belichick's makes you think that he's going to allow that? Now, if you want to tell, like it with Atlanta and Arthur Blank, Arthur Blank, he's kind of in it. Like nobody's like Jerry, right? So Jerry's by himself. You know who he is. If you see his picture, you're like, oh, that's the owner of Atlanta, right? But he'll say, Belichick, you do what you want, man. You got 6 skins. Yep. Jerry will never do that. And so that's why, again, who are you going to get as a coach unless you find somebody that is an up-and-comer that wants that shot? Because a real veteran, tried-and-true coach is not going to come to the Cowboys. I don't think. Money is a thing, of course, all that. But if I have the opportunity to go to one of these other jobs and I'm a high coach, like I'm an alpha coach, I'm at the top, I'm Vrabel, why would I come here? They all pay around the same. It's not like they're going to get so much more money. And at that point, what's the difference between $9 and $8 million if I don't have, like you said, Jerry doing a press conference after every single game? He's the first one that they come and talk to. And then he's going to say some goofy shit. And now I got to answer it in the thing. Well, I don't know, like who are you going to get?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, man. That's what's so frustrating with it. And Jerry is a great businessman, and he is a great owner to play for. The players that have played for him love him because he will do everything to take care of you. But he is not going to relinquish that control. It's his league, it's his team, and really, like, okay, we can all sit here. Who are you going to get? It's frustrating, man. And Dan Quinn, if they do, maybe, but he made it to a Super Bowl as a head coach.
Yeah.
With one of the best offensive coordinators there is out there. That's probably, is going to have a chance to win the Super Bowl this year. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I thought about this today, and it's just, you know what? And I've always tried to be positive and like, no, Jerry, all this. It's true, man. Everything that everyone has said is true. Because if you look at it like this, really, that's why we had Jason Garrett 10 years. That's why, we've had good teams. It's because he's going to control it. He's going to be the one in control. So no real coach is going to come and deal with that shit. It's just, man, it's whatever.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what to say. It's frustrating, man, because Jerry, he is such a great owner besides that thing. And he ain't changing, bro. I don't care what nobody says. I do not see, like I said 10 times, an 81-year-old billionaire changing his ways for nobody.
No doubt. Well, we're going to find out. Probably. We're gonna see. If he is gonna make a
move,
he
does, I will come on here and say I am totally wrong. Well, but I do not see it. What about it?
Yeah. If he does, it would be pretty soon. But looking over.
Who you looking at?
Looking over at. I just had some music start playing by Usher in my ear. So loud. So loud.
Your girl was like, hey, Usher's on.
And I was trying to find the pause button. Holy shit. But looking at the division rival, the collapse in Philly, boys. You got the Eagles starting off at 10-1, and they finished the season, I believe, 1-7, including this playoff loss. It all steamed up from when they had that beatdown against the 49ers, right? And Bosa and all those boys kind of said, look, we just put out on film for y'all how to stop Jalen Hurts and make him look like a peewee quarterback. And, he struggled. He struggled with what defense were starting to throw him towards the end of the season, and it was bad. That's obviously something that they got to improve, or he has to improve this offseason if he does stay in Philly. But do we think Sirianni's on the hot seat after that ending performance? Because it's different than Cowboys, right? Obviously, Cowboys is more of a letdown in the playoffs, but the Eagles have had a letdown for the last 8 weeks in a row, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunately, even after making a Super Bowl last year, that this is even a topic. Like, how do you go from, making the Super Bowl last year, right? And then having, going 10-1, and then, like you said, what was it? 1 and whatever it was.
7.
Yeah, 1-7. Like, how is this even a topic? You know what I'm saying? That's pretty crappy. But I don't know. I thought it was like a fluke couple weeks. Like, oh, like this team's still really talented. No, they were literally just that bad. Like, it was so bad to watch. When your team has 42 yards rushing on the game.
Yeah.
Not good.
And that's what I don't understand either. Is like, they know Jalen's been struggling, and whenever they get that run game,
and they say he's hurt. They also say he's hurt.
And that's fine. But like, looking back to the last 7 weeks as a whole, like, he didn't make any adjustments. Like, if you're going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and when defense start making adjustments to your play, like, you got to be able to adjust to what they're doing and figure out a way to win and put up points. But he just didn't, right? He stayed the same, and you could see it on the sidelines. Dude's getting pissed at him. Obviously, no A.J. Brown this last game, but Goddard back. he's getting pissed at him back on the sidelines his first game back. And then not getting Swift going, I just don't understand. I mean, I think he's very undervalued for that team. And the games they did get him going this year, I mean, they were unstoppable. But they only ran the ball 9 or 10 times with them. They didn't really even try. And it wasn't like they were getting beat down at the whole game, really not until the fourth quarter. Like, I don't know. I just think it's to the point, like, unless you know you can go get one of these top dudes, like there's no point.
I don't think they should fire Sirianni. Now, what is the other reasons? I've always thought Jalen Hurts is he is who he is, and they built that system around him, and it was successful. And maybe they figured out the exact thing. I think he can still do good in that system, but they need to run the ball more. You're right, but it seems like there's something in that locker room that is, maybe they got tired of the coach talking shit all the time or something like that. And he's one of those coaches. If you play, if he's your coach, you like him. I can't stand him, but he's not my coach, right? And I think that is one of those things. Now, what is that real reason inside the locker room? And Kelsey didn't take any time to think about it. He was telling his coach, you can see there on the TV, like you can tell he tells his coach something. The coach is like something is up. And so does that mean he's gone? I don't know. I think it'd be crazy, but
I think it'll be interesting because not only do they have someone like Kelsey, like who's going to retire, but they also have a lot of older dudes who have been in Philly for a long time on that team, man. Like Kelsey's not just the only one. I mean, they got 3 or 4 dudes on there who have been there for, I think Lane Johnson's been there for a long time too. Like, they have a lot of dudes. And I mean, I think Kelsey from the start of the season, I think he was going to be done after this year anyways. He was just trying to get that Super Bowl rematch title after that bad loss last year because he was supposed to retire after last year, right? But it's going to be interesting what they do. Obviously, with everyone still playing, it's only going to continue to burn. But I mean, those are definitely 2 programs that you're in the middle of the season where at the highest point as you could be, not even close to that edge. And you can't get any more on the edge with those 2 programs and fan bases. I mean, you got 2 of the most diehard fan bases in the NFL now, and it's not a fun situation to be in if you're a GM or owner of people who have to make those final decisions. But looking at some teams who had some good weekends, none other than, of course, I'm looking forward to Thursday when we get our Adam Sherry Kobe on to talk about his Texans. But gotta give him prop. They shined at home against the Cleveland Browns as an underdog, 2-point underdog, come out as a 9 or 10-point underdog against the Ravens this weekend already. That should be interesting. I'm pumped to talk about that game on Friday's episode. But are the Texans primed for just a magical Super Bowl run here? Like, it's just this one of those things where it's just like the football gods are with you and all your rookie head coach, your rookie quarterback, your rookie OC. Like, is it just one of these things?
Boys, let me just say, Big Boy's not going to like this stat, but you got a new front runner for the best team in Texas. All right.
Oh, they are. They're better than Cowboys.
Listen, since 2002, the Texans' first season as a program, they have 5 playoff wins. The Dallas Cowboys have had 4 playoff wins. Listen, if that team showed up against the Cleveland Browns, they're going to cause issues. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care Lamar this, Lamar that. And, the Ravens is the best team in the league, this and that. Listen, if that team comes out against Baltimore and plays like they did against the Browns, it's going to be a good game. I'm not saying they're going to beat them. I'm just saying it's going to be a tough game for the Ravens. So, like I said, I think CJ Stroud is up there with being the best rookie quarterback ever. I mean, 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions on the year. Yeah. He's doing good, bro.
I mean, it comes down to one of those things too, right? As we kind of talked about it last week. With these teams, like obviously you got 49ers and Ravens primed, right, to make a run, just expected to beat everybody and play each other in the Super Bowl. But obviously they're coming off their bye weeks, right? And we saw with some of these teams, yes, the bye week's good to get some guys back and healthy, but it slows down your momentum. And now you're going to play a team that's hot as can be. I mean, same thing with the Packers, right? Packers playing 49ers, same situation, hot as can be. Now, Texans have a better chance to beat the Ravens than the Packers do to beat the 49ers. Yes, 100%, I think. But it's still the fact is you're playing two hot teams and you were just sitting on your couch all weekend getting healthy, which very important, but it's still different in NFL playoffs to be able to the hot team. I mean, it's just like baseball in the playoffs, right? Whoever's hot, I mean, they're going to make waves.
Well, and Andrews will be back. I mean, likely's been playing very good tight end, and he's going to use Lamar's going to throw to the tight end. I do think defensive wise, I think what the Texans or offensive for the Texans offense, what they did to the Browns was very impressive. I don't care where you're playing. I don't care any of that. That was very impressive. And that was the number one defense. So I like Baltimore's defense. It's be a little different. It's going to be a little colder there in Baltimore. It's not going to be in the dome. But I think they got a shot. I know that they were praying that the Steelers won last night because if they would have gone to Kansas City, Kansas City's just waiting for somebody to kill them. And
it's about
I think the Texans were gonna smoke Kansas City, and so it's gonna be interesting. I like Baltimore, man. But they just again what they did to the number one defense was impressive. I just don't know if Houston is ready for saying a 42-year-old Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
it's a different story.
It's got to run out at some point, right? The spectacular, magical season, you could say. I mean,
hey, it doesn't always.
See, maybe we're
it doesn't always, man.
What if we're sitting right here saying, "Oh my gosh, the Texans just beat the Ravens."
The Texans defense is doing good. I mean, it's just a totally different animal, right?
Yeah.
It's.
I think if the Texans escape the Ravens this weekend, I think you might as well lock them in to go to the Super Bowl because I don't think if they beat the Ravens, I don't think they're going to lose to the Chiefs or the Bills. Like, I think this is the test that this is going to be a way harder game for them than what the AFC Championship matchup would be if they were to get there as well.
It's the playoffs, man. You never know what can happen. I mean, look what just happened to the Cowboys.
No doubt. Well, looking at
what happened to Cleveland. I mean, even Cleveland. I thought Cleveland was strong coming in here, and they were pretty hot.
And they set that last week, and look what happened.
Yeah.
But looking at the other team in the AFC, we kind of mentioned it going into Kansas City, probably a team Kansas City's not looking forward to taking on, and then that's the Bills. Some could argue. Most could argue, if not the Texans are the hottest team, it's the Bills with how they finished. Not only how they finished the regular season, but how they just played this past week against the Steelers. That offense looks like that Josh Allen offense that has the past couple years where not one defense is stopping them.
Yeah, I mean, you get a guy like Josh Allen, hot, and he has multiple threats. I mean, that guy can do it all. But the Chiefs are on a ticking time bomb, like we just said. I think the Chiefs are not anywhere near as good as what people think, and I think they get beat either this week, and then I hope the Texans win, and then I hope the Chiefs win. So I want that matchup. But
they have championship pedigree for sure. Right? The Kansas City does. They've been there and they've done that, but they're just I mean.
At the Bills. Bills are minus 2.5. That's the closest line of the weekend also.
Yeah.
Bucks or Detroit's minus 6.5 at home. San Fran's minus 9.5 at home. Baltimore minus 9 at home. So it's really these NFL playoff lines past 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's big. Well, there were two, the 10 and then the Texans, but it's so the Lions are minus 6.5 at home against Baker Moneymaker.
Yep.
He made him some money though. He's gonna get another contract.
Yeah, he did.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
He
mean, he was also against that Eagles, secondary. So,
hey man, Baker, he's you talk about a team that's hot. They've been pretty hot the second half of the season too. I mean,
I'm not a fan of Baker, so I'll hate
I'm
him.
not either, but I will give him all his props, man. That he's a kid that nobody wanted twice. You know, I mean, out of high school and then tech, and then you know, you have to have a certain over. His confidence has to be over the moon, and you're sure he's a cocky dude and all that, but to do what he's done, you have to be. So,
No doubt.
because
Well,
most people would quit.
yeah, the journeys he's had to be on, and now
Yeah.
to where it's props to him, 100%. But before we wrap up this Tuesday's on the edge, we mentioned it last week. If you missed it, we're starting back our roundtable chats this Friday on the Sports Roundtable Trio Edition. Make sure y'all tune into that. We're starting with our college baseball players. First one's going to be a Texas State baseball player. We'll introduce him on Friday when he comes. But with that being out there, the baseball rankings did come out today, top 25 according to D1 baseball. There's all different kinds, but D1 baseball is going to be who we're following this season. And real quick, run through them. We got South Carolina 25, Kansas State 24, Northeastern, I don't even know who that is, 23, UCLA 22, Coops hometown, Texas Tech Raiders 21, Iowa 20. We're gonna have to tell Kobe about that. Ask
There
him if
you
he even
go.
knows. Ask him if he
Hawkeyes.
even knows about his Iowa baseball.
I didn't
team.
know they had a baseball team.
You got Alabama 19, Coastal Carolina 18, UC Santa Barbara 17, the University of Texas number 16, North Carolina 15, Virginia 14, NC State 13. Then we got Duke 12, East Carolina 11, and that brings us to the top 10. Some interesting ones in the top 10. You got Clemson at number 10, Tennessee at number 9, Texas A&M getting the hype again for whatever reason after a shitty year last year at number 8.
And they were not rated last year.
No, yeah, they did not finish rated. They went 38 and 27. They had a shitty year. Then you got Oregon State 7, Vanderbilt 6, TCU back up there at 5. You got the defending champs LSU at number 4, Arkansas at 3, Florida at 2, and then Wake Forest at number 1. That is the D1 baseball. That's their
A lot
website.
of SEC teams in that top 25.
I was about to say the SEC
Always,
is winning
bro.
that.
Always. That's literally all it is. Like, just count Texas in the SEC. I mean,
Not yet. Not
it's
yet.
insane. I know, but might as well. But it is packed. Make sure Friday's going to be a good episode, right? We're going to preview the next round of the playoffs, all 4 games with Kobe on to start it off. Then we're going to go into our roundtable chats with our Texas State baseball player to get that going. And of course, we're going to have our figuring out the 40, which before we wrap it up, DeAndre Robinson just got officially released from his NLI. So he is no longer attending the 40 acres with Bo Davis' departure.
Does he go to LSU?
I mean, you would hope so if that's really the real. I mean, yeah, but if that's
and at the same time, I mean, we kind of talk. I understand where he's coming from. Like, I don't even know who my coach is going to be.
Yeah,
I get that. I get it.
Yeah, that's one thing is they're still just waiting. I don't.
And Akina's not coming now.
Yeah, going back to Arizona position coach. I was shocked. He kind of just the word's always been like that's why he left Stanford because he didn't want to be a position coach anymore. But maybe he just I don't know. We're gonna find out. But that brings us to the end of this Tuesday's On the Edge adventure. We hope y'all enjoyed it as much as we did, and make sure y'all have some thoughts and prayers for Big Boy and his.
It's never going to change. Like, I'm at the point, like, I've been trying to fight it for years, and everybody else has been saying, bro, it's never going to change. It's always going to be this. It's till Jerry. And I was like, no, man, no. I'm done, man. Like, it's never going to change. It's never going to change. It's going to be the same shit.
Well, I'm
Done.
sorry, man. I'm sorry for your Cowboys and the hatred that
At
they're
least
gonna
I saw it
receive.
when I was in what 10th grade, something like that, 9th grade, whatever.
Yep. Well, remember to subscribe, like, follow all the socials. We had a good week last week with Michael Smeltzer from the Wolverine Chronicle. Make sure y'all tune in and watch some of those clips if you missed that. They've been going out the last couple days. Great time having him on. But before we wrap it up, another portal addition just committed to Texas as we're wrapping it up, and it's wide receiver, another one, Silas Bolden from Oregon State. 10 scholarship
we
wide
don't need that
receivers
many
now.
receivers, man.
Sark only uses 3. I don't get it.
Most of the time, not even that.
I don't know if he's just kind of reloading the clip on with all these dudes to play on special teams because you do lose like Keelan and Worthy and all your main dudes, but because all these dudes are like small, shifty, fast guys, so it's gonna be interesting.
They better go after some D linemen. That's all I'm gonna say.
D linemen, and then I hope these freshmen from this
Hope
past
Muhammad
year
I hope they get Muhammad.
Yeah,
we got Muhammad Island out there, both Muhammads. That's gonna be something special.
Hopefully so. But we'll preview all that a lot more on Friday. So we'll see you Friday for the Sports Roundtable Trio Edition, 9 a.m. Tune in, be there, or be square, and we'll see y'all Friday. Peace.